fans, welcome to my little show about motorsports I like to call In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott. Here each Wednesday on the YouTube during racing season, when I feel like it. First, in this week's episode, I am going to do a little shout out to a little race fan I officially met this past weekend at Yakima. She is the 2-year-old daughter of one of my favorite local drivers, the 2015 West Coast Late Model Champion, Buck Knoll Jr. and his wife Alex. Her name is Racyn Knoll. That's R-A-C-Y-N, as in I love me some racing. And now my heart belongs to racing. So, hey there, Racyn. Thanks for picking me as your new boyfriend. Your dad says that you have really good taste. My wife says it's a phase for both of us. I hope to see you, Racyn, next time I'm at the Yakima Speedway there to see your daddy racing his car. But by that time, it's going to be like in July. By that time, Racyn will probably have moved on to another object of her affection. As I need to move on to talking about racing this past weekend in Alabama and Washington State, so here we go. Last Friday, there was a little bit of NASCAR practice on TV before rain washed out track activity for the day at my favorite track in the whole wide world, Talladega Superspeedway in my home state of Alabama. So the ARCA 200 that I was hoping to watch Friday afternoon got postponed until Saturday afternoon. They scheduled it after the Monster Cup Energy Cup qualifying, and they put it on that Phantom Sports 2 channel, on which I have never seen anything. I did get to see most of the ARCA race late Monday night. They cut out about 10 laps there at the beginning of it for some reason. Justin Haley won in a Toyota in his first race ever at the 2.66 mile super speedway in Alabama during the ARCA feature, where Justin was guided by his eye in the sky spotter Kevin Hamlin from Snohomish, Washington. How's that for a local tie-in? Now the Dale Jr. tie-in. One of his former drivers, Maine's Austin Terrio, finished fourth in a Ken Schrader number 52 Chevrolet. And I know you're going to say, well, last time he raced they were in a Ford. Well, you can do that in ARCA. You can race whatever car you want to at whatever track you want to. He continues there, Austin Terrio continues to lead the points going into the next ARCA event at Toledo, Ohio, at their banked half-mile track there, and that'll be on Sunday the 21st hopefully on Fox Sports 1. Saturday, we watched the Xfinity 250 from the Talladega Superspeedway, my favorite track, before we headed east to Yakima Speedway for the Federated Auto Parts 100 for the Better All Auto Sales Twisted Tea West Coast Late Model Series for their third event of 2017. The Xfinity 250 had a few cautions, about one per stage, and that helped slow things down a little bit. Cup regular Eric Almirola was able to win the first stage and the overall race in a Mustang. Dale Jr.'s driver Elliott Sadler was second and still leads the drivers' standings heading into their next race at Charlotte, which is a few weeks away. My favorite Alabama Xfinity driver, Bubba Wallace, had a hard hit on the inside wall on the last lap of the race, but still finished in 13th place in his Roush Mustang. And a local driver, Casey Kane, finished 2 spots behind there in a Junior Motorsports number 88 Camaro. After the Xfinity race at Talladega Superspeedway, my favorite racetrack, after that was over, my wife and I started across the mountains. We were only held up for about a half hour or so with crummy Seattle traffic getting out of town Saturday, so we were still able to get over to the Palm Springs of Washington with plenty of time to enjoy the show. Again this week it was Hornets, Super Stocks, and Bump to Pass on the schedule with the Better All Auto Sales Twisted Tea West Coast Late Model Series 100 lap feature. After the trophy dashes, Max Cook won the Hornet main on the front stretch there, followed by the Bump to Pass main also on the front stretch, which was won by John Jensen. Next up, Cody Graham was victorious on the big track in the Super Stock class. Then came the group I was there for, the West Coast Late Model Series, with a decent field of 16 late models starting their 100 lap feature for the evening. The race got going and it was pretty obvious the 3 fastest cars were the number 3 Toyota of Andy Beeman, the number 25 Fusion of Randy Marshall Jr., and old Margaret, the number 95 Ford of Buck Knoll Jr. It was about a third way in before the first yellow flag waved, which was nice. They got in a lot of really good racing. But then Bucky cut a tire and Margaret's chances to win went away for the evening. Then came the Andy and Randy show, with those two battling for the lead door to door, lap after lap. And you know, those two have a bit of history, and so no quarter was given by either combatant. Finally, in turn 2, the hard racing got both Andy and Randy off the track, handing the lead over to young Max Schroeder in his number 29 Chevy, with the number 86 Impala SS of Kyler Conniff in second there on the front row for the late race restart. Max led a few laps but was overtaken by Kyler, who also had a strong running car on Saturday. The Andy and Randy show was able to make their way back up to second and third, but Conniff outlasted both of them to win his first Better All Auto Sales Twisted Tea West Coast Late Model 100 lap feature. Way to go, Kyler! It was an entertaining but cold and windy night of racing, with the next West Coast Late Model 100 lap feature scheduled for June 3rd at the Spokane Super Oval. Please try to join us. And speaking of joining us, not many of you did this weekend at Yakima. I saw some diehard fans, some family and friends of drivers, some other drivers that weren't racing. But I didn't see many fans like me that are just fans that want to see a good race and spend the evening being entertained by fast cars. So y'all folks need to start showing up more in the grandstands there. Stop doing all them unimportant things that you're doing, like weddings and ball games and camping, overtime, movies. Get your butts in the stands. Excuse my French there. But get in the stands before the grandstands are replaced by light industry or more unnecessary retail space or storage cubicles or tract housing, please. I know ticket prices have risen a bit this year, but if enough fans show up for a couple of big events, maybe Yakima Speedway can afford to get, let's see, maybe the leaderboard repaired. I hope I see more fans in the stands when I go back there for the July 8th Better All Auto Sales Twisted Tea West Coast Late Model Series 6th 100 lap event of the season. The evening of racing there Saturday ended early, so we were able to get home before it was too awful late. That was nice because the big race at my favorite track in the whole wide world started about 10 o'clock Sunday morning. 2 juniors started on the front row Sunday at Talladega Superspeedway with Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the outside, like he was at Daytona, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on the pole for only his second time in his 158th career start. It was an exciting race. I always love watching Talladega. And it only had one big one near the end and a few little ones that involved a car or two throughout the race there. And with the new stage racing, there wasn't a lot of the single file, follow the leader type racing as there had been before, which made racing a whole lot better throughout the whole event. Different drivers made their way up to the front, and no one seemed interested at all in hanging out in the back to wait for the end of the race. The big one did come with about 20 laps to go when A.J. Allmendinger ran out of talent and ran into the back end of Chase Elliott in the backstretch, setting off a dozen or more car pile up with 9 of those cars being put out of the race, and Allmendinger ending up on his lid. My oldest brother's favorite, Chase Elliott, was one of those cars put out of the race, along with my friend JJ's favorite, Martin Truex Jr. They finished 30th and 35th. My younger brother's fave, Happy Harvick, got caught up in the big one, but he was still able to finish the race in 23rd. And Dale Jr. didn't get caught up in the big one or the one after that, but he did have wheel problems, a loose wheel there, later in the race, and only ended up 1 spot better than Harvick in 22nd. The local favorite from Enumclaw, Casey Kane, finished well in 5th, and the winner was the wrong junior. Yep, pole winner Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won from the pole for the first time there in Talladega since 2007, when that famous TV race announcer Jeff Gordon did it. It was the first ever Monster Energy Cup win for the Olive Branch, Mississippi native, and it came at the racetrack closest to Ricky's home. His girlfriend Danica Patrick was there in victory lane with Ricky, but she looked a little uncomfortable. Seems now he has the bragging rights in that relationship. Well, they don't have much time to work that one out because the Monster Energy Cup Series is back in action Saturday night at Kansas with the Camping World trucks as their companion race on Friday. Also coming up this weekend is the Grand Prix of Spain early on Sunday morning at 4:05 here on the left coast. The continuing battle between Mercedes and Ferrari and Hamilton and Vettel goes on and intensifies. Also, this coming Saturday night locally, we should have lots of racing from which to choose, if weather allows. The best show will probably be the K&N Pro West Series at Spokane Super Oval, along with Pony Stocks, bus races, and fireworks. I'd really like to go there, but I'll probably just go to Evergreen, where the schedule says super late models, street stocks, mini stocks, and 2 classes of figure eights for only $16 for adults. And I am an adult sometimes. Also, here on the west side, South Sound Speedway is having winged sprint cars, mini stocks, hobby stocks, and bumblebees. Also for only $16 for adults. And while I am on the west side, last weekend, South Sound had late models, which were won by Kevin Carver. Mini stocks won by Dwayne DeYoung, and baby grands won by Brad Crawford. Dwayne Swanson won in the Legends there at South Sound Speedway, and I have to make a correction from last week because Dwayne also won the Legend race the week before at Wenatchee Valley Super Oval after Randy Schaff cut a tire. Thanks to Derek for that little correction there. Also last weekend, Evergreen Speedway had racing with Pastor Jeff Knight winning a second feature this season. Lane Sunholm won again in mini stocks, as did Dawson Cox in Hornets. Dario Rachik won in Youth Hornets, and Devin Ehrman was victorious in the Vintage Modifieds. And the little Northwest Pro 4 trucks were there with Pete Brady taking the checkers in their race. And the next race for the Northwest Pro 4 trucks is at the Wenatchee Valley Super Oval on the 20th with the Westco Wing Sprint cars, the Vintage Modifieds again, Thunder cars, and Roadrunners. Last Saturday night, Spokane Super Oval had their opening night with Northwest Pro 4 Alliance cars. Their feature was won by Jeff Jones, and they also had Pony Stocks won by Keaton Tarr, and Roadrunners won by Ricky Hector. Those names sound familiar. Then Matt Sensel wound up on top of the heap for the Demo Derby. And as I said earlier, Spokane has the K&N West Tour this weekend, along with pony stocks and bus races and fireworks. I hope we get to go see the NASCAR Stars of Tomorrow, but like I said, it looks like we're going to be staying home this weekend. And speaking of the Stars of Tomorrow, you can see in the K&N series there is a K&N East Series tape delayed race at South Boston, Virginia on NBCSN tomorrow at 4 o'clock here in Washington, if you get a chance to catch it. Well, that about covers things. I did hear from Cole in Western Speedway in Victoria, BC, but I don't think anything was happening there this weekend. And I still don't get results yet from State Line, or didn't get any from Hermiston, and you know I'm too lazy to look it all up all the time there. But I do want to give a big thank you out to Northwest Asphalt Racing Results on Facebook. Yeah, it's a page I found that is really great for being an accurate source for race results in the Northwest area. That page has been a great help for me in gathering accurate information for this show, as well as the racing videos that I post on YouTube. I don't yet know who administers Northwest Asphalt Racing Results, but I thank you again for all of the information that you provide. Oh, and sorry, speaking of information, right before I started, I looked at the weather for this Saturday and got some information that I did not want, but I will go on and pass it on to y'all race fans. It don't look good for racing on either side of the state this weekend. in Rochester, Monroe, and Spokane, it looks like there will be just enough precipitation to keep the track moist. And I use that word because some people don't like it. Some people downright hate it. So, I might just be sitting right here in Race Central watching NASCAR and F1 live instead of recorded. I hope not, but we'll just, that's how some race weekends go. I hope that you get to attend some racing because the weather decides to cooperate with us. That would be nice, but if not, we've got racing on Fans Choice TV on the old Devil Box and NASCAR and F1, like I said, on the Boob Tube. Oh, wow, did I almost go through an entire episode without mentioning the Toad or the Joker? So be it. They are but annoyances to me anyway. So again, I hope y'all get a chance to see from racing this weekend, or watch it on TV, or both. And then you'll be up to speed when we get together next Wednesday here on the YouTube. Same Stock Car time, same Stock Car channel, here on my little show about motorsports I like to call In the Pits with me, Stock Car Scott. Now, if you want to, you can watch the West Coast late model Yakima 100 right here on this YouTube channel. And for y'all that want to see the trophy dashes from Yakima, hold on, I'll get to them. They should be up real soon, in a day or so. Okay, talk to y'all next week. Have a happy Mother's Day, and try to go see some racing this weekend if it isn't too moist. Ew.